Good morning, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to discuss a few things in this video about Reform UK and devolution and the general election in 2029. Some interesting things have come to my attention and I wanted to share them. If you're not already subscribed, consider liking and subscribing, it does help me out a lot. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that polling in Wales puts Reform and Labour level pegging in the Senate elections in 2026, with both getting 31 seats, and this is 2 years out from the election itself. This is a positive thing, and if the polling keeps on going Reform's way, they will form a majority administration in the Senate. That's a positive, and that's very, very good for us right-leaning individuals. Wales and Scotland have never had a right-leaning devolved administration since devolution was set up in 1997. That's very important for what I'm going to say later in the video. The second thing I wanted to mention about the devolved assemblies is that Ant Middleton, the former SAS badass, we are in Britain after all, has threw his hat in the ring to be Reform's candidate for the London Assembly elections to become the next mayor when that comes up in 2028. If he pulls that off, and Reform pull off winning the Senate in Wales as well, these are both positive signs that we are going to get some effective change in the UK. Devolution was originally set up to preserve the new Labour paradigm, the neoliberal consensus. It means that even if you get a Tory government coming in, like David Cameron or Theresa May or even Rishi Sunak, they can't actually do anything remotely right-leaning. So we complain that we've not actually had a Conservative government since before Tony Blair, which is true. We've not actually had a right-leaning government since John Major or even Thatcher, to be honest. And that's because they're always going to get pushback from other layers of government. And the devolved assemblies play a major role in that. So the fact that they get pushback from the Scot Nats or Labour in Wales means that they can use that as a reason or an excuse in central government in Westminster not to do anything conservative. Tony Blair wanted to make sure that no conservative policies ever got through in the United Kingdom again. Anything remotely right-leaning is completely shot down. And if you try to speak out of the neoliberal paradigm, you're branded far right. And these are the buzzwords that they use all the time now. Anything slightly right of centre and you're automatically a far-right bigot or a xenophobe or any of the usual acronyms they like to throw about. So, it will create a narrative focus shift if you can get the devolved administrations getting more right-leaning. So I'm very excited that we've got Ant Middleton looking to become Reform's candidate in London, and we're getting very positive polling signs from Wales as well. Which leads me on to another point that I wanted to discuss, which is a national poll for the entire United Kingdom has put Reform UK level with Labour in the Westminster election in 2029, and it looks like Reform could get nearly 200 seats at the moment, 170 to over 200 depending on which poll you look at, and Labour reduced to just over 200 if you're to believe these polls. And this is 4 years out from the next election. Again, this is really, really positive. Nigel's not perfect. I don't think he's perfect. He's a step in the right direction. Think of the next Reform government after him and the one after. For any Zoomers that are getting itchy feet with Nigel and Reform, you've never lived under a Thatcherite government. You've never lived under anything but this neoliberal nightmare we've been in since 1997. So before you despair and say Farage is just a Conservative, you've never had a Conservative government in the UK if you're born after 1997. So you don't know. You really don't know. I remember Mrs T. I remember John Major. Those were actual Conservatives. Major wasn't perfect, especially if you look at his later track record. Not perfect. He was a Conservative. bit more milquetoast than Mrs. T, but they were both Tories through and through. So before you despair with Farage and think he's of that ilk, he may be, but it's better than what you've got now, and it's a step on the way to where we want to be. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like and subscribe. Devolution, in my view, has been nothing but a failure. You get failed politicians, disgraced politicians in Wales and Scotland, and in Northern Ireland, for crying out loud. You've even got ex-terrorists running a devolved administration, and I do stand by that phrase. She was in the IRA and they are terrorists, and I'm going to call them out as such. Thank you for watching, and consider sharing the video. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you in the next one.